First qualifying for Sunday's Australian Grand Prix, the opening round of the 2005 Formula One World Championship. Jenson Button is currently fastest, but his BAR Honda is not having the best of weekends. It doesn't really look very comfortable. He's gone at the first of the Michelin runners to go out, and the second one is Nick Heidfeld. This is a big break then for Quick Nick, the German driver, the Cross team. He's been with Jordan and Sauber. And now he's got his big break with Williams, teammate to this man, Mark Webber. Both Williams drivers clearing out at the end of last season. Two young guns coming in, and well, a huge amount of expectation on the shoulders of both of them. But it's the first time also that Webber has had a really fast teammate. And Heidfeld so far in winter testing has looked very competitive indeed. Just 27 years of age, but going into his 6th season in Formula One, same as Jenson Button. And what can Quick Nick do on a drying racetrack?
This is going to be fascinating, James, to see when which driver is going to be the first to take a risk on the full dry tyres, because the track is just drying out in front of our very eyes, but still a few patches around where maybe the drainage is not quite so good, or the camber of the road is holding a little bit more water. For example, just here, but you've got more than enough downforce in these high-speed areas. You've got excessive grip, so it doesn't matter there. It's in the braking zone and turning points that matter.
Heidfeld on his outlap then. He hasn't yet started his flying lap. You can just hear a little team radio in the background, and it's just a few numbers being mentioned. Any juicy bits, we'll make sure that you hear them here on ITV. Across the start-finish line, with his first flying lap of 2005 in a Williams, goes Nick Heidfeld. 180 miles an hour, then into turn 1, braking down. 90 miles an hour, picking it up through 2 and 3. Look at the car twitching. Look how hard he's having to work the steering wheel as he slides out towards the edge of the circuit, picking the speed up again then to 170 miles an hour under the trees into 3.
He's looking quite tentative. What happens is the car starts sliding on you, as it did on the exit at 2, and you lose your confidence. You begin to wonder what you've got underneath you, and a lot of water there, so it'll be a while yet before they're on full dry tyres. But a second and a half up on Button. Of course, the track is improving, but you really have to be a bit concerned with the lack of the BAR pace this weekend. Heidfeld then, his first hot lap for the Williams team.
Yeah, well, BAR weren't all that special here last year, if you remember, and then they went on to Malaysia, where Jenson Button got his first of a string of 10 podiums. So not the end of the world for BAR, but this doesn't look like being their weekend. They're targeting race wins. Certainly the Williams team not particularly happy with the pace of their car either. They're starting not particularly competitively. Heidfeld up onto the grass, you can see, just leaning a little bit too hard on it. And the Williams team feel they'll get quicker as the season goes on, but there's damage limitation at the start of the year.
In the dry, you lose virtually nothing running wide on the grass there. In the wet, it'll be horrible. You'll be spinning up the wheels. So bad news then for Heidfeld. He would have lost, I think, 3/4 tenths minimum, probably even greater than half second. Not an absolute disaster, but certainly going to compromise his lap. Faster than Button in both Sector 1 and Sector 2. Over the line he goes. Did he lose heavily? He was still faster in Sector 3 despite being on the grass. 1.8 seconds ahead. First man to break the 1 minute 40s. Here he goes, just understeered wide onto the grass. Kept his head, just kept a balanced throttle, bringing it back online. But you lose time all the way down the next straight then. So Webber should have quite if he can keep it on the black bits, Webber should have a good chance here of stealing a big march on his teammate.
Look how the track is drying out there. But we saw those awful puddles out of the back of the circuit where the trees hang over the track, and that's what keeps them on the intermediate tyre. It's far too early to go to dry. But look how dry it is here for Webber on the run down to 3. There's some more puddles kick in as well. Very difficult for the drivers to find the limit, to know exactly where it all is. And this is the sort of conditions which Mark Webber absolutely excels in. We've seen him, look at the puddles there, throughout his career in Formula One, find the limit very, very well in treacherous conditions.
Yes, you've got to treat the brake and throttle pedals as if they've got an egg underneath them that you don't want to break. Just squeeze them down all the time. And also you've got to brake the car in a straight line. As soon as you've got any turn in it, a little bit of crossway across the front suspension, and you'll snatch a brake under heavy braking, heavy load. So the concentration, enormous look on Mark Webber's eyes, and he was a good chunk up on his teammate in the first sector. Second sector now 1.4 ahead. And remember, Heidfeld made a mistake here, and Webber appears to be, from what I can see from this shot, well online.
He certainly is. Eyes out on stalks, an absolutely cracking onboard camera shot. Just look at the concentration, the focus in the eyes of Mark Webber. Absolutely flying around this racetrack, putting a few seconds on teammate Nick Heidfeld. Faster in sector 1 and faster in sector 2. Coming down then into turn 14. 15, and then in through 16, the final corner on the racetrack, across the start-finish line. And what's this going to be for Webber? Huge expectation in the grandstands. He records a 1:36.7, and that will have people in the pits starting to think about using dry tyres, even though there is a bit of standing water around. Let's have a listen. Congratulations, I think, from the engineer to Mark Webber on, well, a very bold lap indeed, and the Australians in the grandstands below us certainly enjoyed that.
Clean then out on track, Red Bull Racing, their first Grand Prix, of course. It's the Jaguar team that morphed, or bits and pieces of the Jaguar team that morphed into this. They've been going pretty well, especially in the dry, and it seems like this new car works very nicely indeed. And Clean then has been supporting Coulthard. They've both been running and looking as if they could be top 10 contenders, but I think that's in more stable track conditions. Let's see what he can do. But first round heavily to Mark Webber then in the Williams team.
Definitely. Well, here's Christian Klien, who says there's no such thing as second chances in Formula One. Not a brilliant debut season last year with the Jaguar team, but with Red Bull, an Austrian company, having bought the team, offering the Austrian driver a second chance, although Tonio Liuzzi is waiting in the wings, and we expect to see him racing at some point during this season. So pressure really is on the 22-year-old shoulders of Christian Klien. But as Martin was saying, this car has a fair turn of pace, and they've got plenty of money to develop it as well. So it could be the surprise package, I think, of 2005. 2.5 tenths of a second only down on Mark Webber is Christian Klien, using all of the curve and then a little bit more as well on the exit. And so far, so good.
Yes, he was quicker in the middle sector than Mark Webber, even if his lap so far is slower. So it's winding up nicely for him. Can he get into the 36s? Could he even be slightly faster than Webber? Just 2 corners to go then.
One of the reasons this car going better than last year, that Cosworth have come up with another 80 horsepower from the engine, pushing it out of 16 then. All of those horses pushing them down the track. Across the line, can he beat Mark Webber's time? Not quite. 7 tenths of a second slower is Christian Klien. So Webber fastest, Klien second, Heidfeld third, fourth is Button, and fifth Carter Kayan. As we get a look at the Red Bull mechanics, that's Tonio Liuzzi watching his teammates' progress, and let's just hear from the pits and Ted Kravitz.
Trulli was seriously considering dries. Remember, guys, he did that to take pole in Spa last year, but he hasn't. He's kept on the intermediates, as has the next man, David Coulthard. I guess with the aggregate system, Martin, it's just too risky.
Yes, the trouble is, if you just run wide, you've thrown away 2 days of qualifying, haven't you? You're right, Ted. I don't think the track is quite ready for it, but I could understand them considering it. We're moving into that zone. It's corners like turn 5 there, where the dry tyres might just throw you in the wall. He's 4 tenths up on Webber, looking good then for Jarno Trulli, and the track is coming to the drivers all the time now. It's right on the bubble, I think, for dry tyres.
Certainly is. Well, the crossover this morning was around about low 1:35 laps to high 1:34s, and that's a time of Webber's a 1:36.7. It looks like Trulli is going to probably dip into the low 36s, possibly the high 35s. So it's this next tranche of drivers. One of them is going to have to blink first and put the dry tyres on. That's Villeneuve, Fisichella, Massa, Michael Schumacher as well. He might be the one to roll the dice coming up. This is going to be absolutely brilliant.
I think Fizzy will be the first one out. I'd be surprised if Jack takes that risk, but I don't think he's just got quite enough confidence in that Sauber yet. Coulthard's out on track already with his Red Bull Racing car that'll be on Inters. Trulli then coming to the end of his lap. He's been faster of anybody in the first and second sector. He should go comfortably on the pole. How quick will it be? And it's 35.2. He moves the benchmark by another 1.5 seconds.
Well, I was saying the crossover time from wets to dries, high 1:34. So everyone, that's Giancarlo Fisichella in the Renault, will be thinking seriously about the dry tyre, but it's just that standing water in 1 or 2 corners might worry people. Quick look there at David Coulthard's girlfriend Simone, and we cut to the 33-year-old Scotsman out on track in his new team, going into his 12th season of Formula One, twice a winner here at Albert Park in Melbourne, and enjoying leading this team from the front, you sense, after a very, very long time in the McLaren team. Obviously, they are the pace setters at the moment in Formula One, so some regrets there for Coulthard, but I sense that he's enjoying this experience.
He seems very relaxed, doesn't he? And didn't try and take too much out of the braking zone in turn one, and it's just not worth the risk at the moment. But, maybe not staying on board and watching a bit of DC's very smooth style. But where does he then compare with Trulli and Webber? And it's his second down. He's taking it too cautiously in the braking zone for turn one and turn three. So he's got with an awful lot of work to do then in the second half of the lap.
Well, he's never really been a big fan of single lap qualifying, David Coulthard. Always did his best work in qualifying in the days when they had 4 runs in the hour and he could just build up to the speed. Having to stick it on its nose on a single lap over the last couple of years has caught him out a few times. And well, at the moment he's giving something away to the Toyota of Jarno Trulli, who, as we saw, and as Ted mentioned, Spa last year was absolutely outstanding in conditions like this. The first man to go onto the dry tyre and stick it on pole position. Coulthard opting for a conservative strategy then. Still some water around on the racetrack. Nice onboard shot. Sounds pretty ginger on the throttle.
Yeah, I think DC will get out of that and think he's just not taking enough risks on this lap. He's going to go third or fourth. He's going to be ahead of Heidfeld, but will he be ahead of his teammate Klin? He certainly isn't going to go fast. He's got a long way to go down this pit straight before he cuts the timing beam. And there it is. It's a very slow time. And 9/10 behind Klin. So too cautious then for David Coulthard.
What she's thinking. So Trulli still fastest, Webber second, Klin third, Coulthard fourth, and Heidfeld in fifth place.
Having a lot of oversteer, so they understand what changed between the last run and now. Very poor balance.
Well, that's interesting, because this morning on the team radio in practice, he was saying that the car in the wet condition, the back of the car, it felt like it was rolling over. The front was very precise, but the back was not under him. And clearly they haven't seemed to be able to dial out his nervousness for this car.
I didn't catch what he said in the early part of that transmission. He was obviously saying, whatever we change, I don't like it, and we need to understand what went on there. But Coulthard not comfortable, car not underneath him as he wants it.
Louise Goodman is down in the pit lane with Jenson Button, currently in 6th.
Jenson, this weather really hasn't played out right for you, has it?
No, it hasn't. It's not a great way to start, but the good thing is that, I mean, the position is going to be pretty horrible today, but the good thing is we found out a big issue we had in practice this morning. I was 5 seconds off of Taku in every practice, and all we'd changed since yesterday was the rear end of the car, and we've gone back now to the race rear end, gears and everything, and it's a completely different car again, so it's back to what it was, but you know, we didn't know where to go on the setup, so it's quite a long way out, but at least we know we're going in the right direction now and we've sorted out our issues.
First qualifying under the new regulations, so you've been running with no fuel now. How was it? Nice to be back in the light car again?
You can't really tell so much when you haven't got a good balance, but I'm sure in Malaysia it'll be dry and it'll be a great feeling.
Thanks.
I'd love to know what that is that they found. 5 seconds a lap is a big old chunk. Trulli then fastest from Webber, Klin third for Red Bull Racing.